All right.
Hi.
Uh,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. All right,
Okay, good.
I'm gonna get this thing going.
Hang on. Give me 2 seconds. Let's see. Hopefully this will test this. Just give me. Oh my goodness.
All right, equipment is being tested while that's going on. I would like to welcome everybody to the Blindside Podcast, the very first episode of 2021. Happy New Year, everybody! I have my guest here, Rachel Ng, aka the Blind DNFJ Typologist. Welcome to the Blindside, Rachel.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and
You're welcome.
this is a pleasure to be on.
All right, tonight's topic is downloadable content or DLC and the greed of gaming. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about not only video games, but we're going to talk about games for the blind and visually impaired. Rachel, you do play a lot of, you said trivia games, correct?
Trivia games, and there is a set of them called the blindfold games. There's several kind of games. I like word games. I do play some blindfold games, and sometimes some audio games, but yeah.
Do any of these games that you play require you to purchase this additional content packs, such as trivia packs, level packs, quest packs, etc.?
Yes, I've seen that in like trivia. And then the blindfold games you have to buy like more coins or more cookies to play, or more tokens, or further packs and sounds and stuff like that.
Right. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about the video game aspect. And what you're referring to is their microtransactions and its downloadable content. What they're doing is they're giving you this content saying, okay, you can buy these cookies or these coins or whatever, and you have to pay to play. Kind of a pay to play mentality. Now, in the world of video games, there are publishers that a lot of game genres these days, fighting games are notorious for this. They'll come out with a game, right? Like the best example I would think of would be, let's say, the King of Fighters 14. Okay, that came out a few years ago. It had like maybe 20 or 30 characters at launch. I didn't get the base version. I just waited because I wanted to wait on the complete version.
Sure.
And so they released their season passes with more characters. So basically, to get all the characters and stages, you had to buy both downloadable content passes, all the costume packs. Well, I want to let you, and I'm sure you're not much of a video game player, but to any listeners that might be that are listening, the King of Fighters Ultimate Edition, that's going to have everything. The King of Fighters 14 Ultimate Edition, I should say, will be dropping on PS4, Xbox One, on PS4. Yeah, it is on PS4 on January 20th. So on January 20th, the Ultimate Edition gets you everything, all the content. That's why I didn't buy the regular version. I wanted to wait for the Ultimate Edition, you know?
That's pretty soon and pretty neat, yeah.
Get it all in one pack. Now, when you play audio games, do you have any experiences where they make you buy additional content, downloadable content, microtransactions?
Yeah.
In game.
And then so sometimes they let you buy like unlimited, kind of like what you're talking about as well.
So you would just buy it once and you could use the content forever.
Yeah. But they also have different packs. Like it depends on the game. It depends on which.
Yeah. It varies in with with what I play too. Because I game on. For those of you who don't know, I game on PS4. And Rachel, could you explain to the listeners what type of platforms you game on? Like if it's PC, if it's like a certain device.
Well, these blindfold games are for now only made on the iPhone. The audio games are mostly made on the iPhone platforms. So it's very nice. You can play them for the blind listeners. You can just play them on the phone. There's quite a few suggestions on AppleVista.com
nice.
if you want to look into those. So,
do you have any suggestions for the listeners that not only are blind, but who might be curious about audio games in general.
I don't know. Call me weird, but I always like, like the reactions games like Bop It. And so there's this it's called Audio Runner. I think they're trying to emulate this game that was like a running game like that for.
Yeah. Are you talking about Trip Runner, Bit Runner? I think is what it is. I think. There's, like I said, I've not played an audio game in years. Or a game for the blind. The last quote unquote game for the blind that I played back in the 90s, and you might remember this, Rachel. It's called Zork, The Adventures of Zork. Do you remember that? Rachel might be having some difficulties, but as we get through those, I do want to take this quick moment before I go into some of the video games that have DLC and microtransactions to plug a website. And I know that the listeners out there that are listening may be wondering, Blind Metal Gamer, why are you? There you are.
Yes, okay. My iPhone locked. I'm like, okay, what happened? Okay.
Okay. So, you were thinking about maybe Bit Trip Runner.
No,
that's what I'm thinking of.
I think it was a regular thing. Maybe it was called Temple Run. I think it's. I don't remember what it was, but it was something like that. And it was trying to simulate. It's like a running forever game, and you try to duck beneath obstacles and run.
Yeah, that's what Bit Trip Runner is. It's basically a running game, and what you do is you just jump, and you have to jump on it. It's weird. So yeah, like one suggestion for I suggested the King of Fighters 14 Ultimate Edition, but I would like to ask you a question real quick, Rachel, veering off topic slightly. Do you like different types of jewelry or things like that?
I don't wear much
like bracelets.
Jewelry.
All right.
Why do you ask? Just kidding.
The reason why I'm asking is because for you and any of the listeners out there that might be wondering why I inquired at such a thing, there's a site that I would like everyone to check out. It's called Blind Girl Bling. That's BlindGirlBling.com. They have an assortment of things such as bracelets and other, bling, and it's ran by a girl that's totally blind. So hence BlindGirlBling.com. They have a variety of items for guys and gals, so no one is excluded. I've heard their prices are quite reasonable. Not too expensive, but not cheaply made either.
Is that
so
a
kind of middle of the road. Yes. And I told this individual I would promote on the podcast. So to everyone out there, go to www.blindgirlbling.com and check out her amazing wares and check out those amazing prices. Okay, now, what I was gonna suggest was for anybody that's looking for any video games as far as downloadable content, and as I'm talking the grade of gaming, microtransactions. Have you ever heard of a game, Rachel, called Star Wars Battlefront 2?
No, but I'm not really into video games as such, but yeah, I'm sure.
The reason why I'm inquiring is because we were talking earlier about the packs and how you had to buy certain packs for certain games, and even with this game, it was notorious. They had what's called loot boxes. You had a random drop of loot, and you had to pay real world money. You could either do the random drop thing, or you could pay real world money to increase your chances of getting the characters you wanted. So basically, gambling in these type of games.
Did you not pay?
Yeah, I don't know because I never touched it. I did hear that they did remove all the microtransactions, so thank God for that. As for games with egregious downloadable content practices, I do want to touch on one that I've been wanting to talk about for a while. I know, again, you're not a big video game player, but for those of you who are listening, Are you familiar with Street Fighter Cross Tekken? If so, if not, it's basically a 2.5D fighting game where Tekken characters would fight Street Fighter characters, right? You would think, awesome, it had a good accessibility feature, sweet, it had a lot of cool stuff that you would have loved. There was one thing, though, that you would have hated. You want to know what that was?
What?
There was downloadable content, right? And you like in the King of Fighters?
Yeah.
But it was, see, people, they do what's called data mining, okay? Where they'll take the game and they'll data mine it. Well, when they data mine the disc-based version of the game, the characters were already on the disc. The files were already there. Switch to release it because they made it pay to use. You had to buy it, basically. It was already done and ready to go, but you couldn't get it unless you paid for it on the date they specified.
You have to pay for what?
You had to pay for these additional characters, and the characters' files to use them were already on the disc.
Interesting.
Yes. The company that made the game, Capcom, got a lot of heat for it. They got a lot of fire for what they did with this. I was happy. Angry Joe wasn't happy about it. A lot of people weren't. Just very angry about this. And some of these game publishers will do that, for money, for greed. So Rachel, do you have any type of particular game that you like that has zero microtransactions, zero downloadable content? You get it, and you got it forever.
Yeah, I mean there are still quite many out there on the App Store. Mostly, like, I don't know. Like, there's a couple of blindfold games that are like that. There is audio games that are like that. There's this really basic one. It's like, it's a lot more like it's these reaction games. I think it was but yeah, I mean there's definitely some, and it's good because you don't have to spend a lot of dough on games. And
oh yeah, you get it and you have all the content and you can enjoy it forever.
Yeah, I think I mean, while I understand the business side of it, it can be it can definitely be expensive. And like for the trivia games, every time you move up a level you have to pay something, or something, or you want a new challenge, you have to pay something. And it's like, and I'm not, and I'm not trying to be mean here, but sometimes it gets expensive. It's like, yeah, I want to play a new game of trivia. I'm bored of these already. But
yeah, like, see, I don't, and again, you play a lot of more of the blind centric games, whereas I'm playing, PS4 fighting games, things like that. It's in a way it's the same concept when they release these season passes. Can I share a story?
Sure.
Okay, Dead or Alive 6. For those of you who are wondering, Dead or Alive 6 is a PS4, Xbox One fighting game. And I get word of it, right? I'm like, oh, cool, DOA 6, I'm probably going to like it. But something in my gut told me to hold off. Something in my gut just told me, do not buy that yet. Blind Metal Gamer, don't touch it. You're not going to like it. You're going to be happy.
Okay.
And so here I am thinking, why would that be? I look at the season pass, and let me guess how much the first season pass was.
Not sure.
Take a guess. Just take a guess.
$20 or $30? I don't know.
Wrong. Give up?
Yeah.
$93.
That's a hefty price. Was it worth it?
Yeah. Well, I didn't know because I didn't buy it. The point being is, isn't that a little bit high for a season pass? That's a bit much.
I mean, it's expensive if it's worth it, I guess. But the question would be, is it really worth that much? And so sometimes.
Yeah, I mean.
Sometimes the answer is yes, and sometimes it's no. But.
Yeah, like there's one thing that I kind of got into called Fire Pro Wrestling World, And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, okay, cool. It's an old school wrestling game. I'm going to love this. Then I look at the season passes, $50 a pop, and you don't get all the content with it.
Mm-hmm.
You just get a portion of it. Then they sell you more content and more and more and more.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? I mean, do they ever do that to you with the blind games? Do it in like pass forms, where like you'll get a season pass worth of content, and or do they do it in each individual thing?
It depends. I think it's mostly individual. I would say the trivia games aren't blind games, but they're iPhone like word games and such. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, I call them that because they're probably more than likely to be voiceover accessible.
Yes. Yeah.
Whereas the games that I play aren't on iPhone; they're on console and PC. But the point is they're making money off these passes.
Yeah.
And off these individual packs.
Well, I'm on something like Dice World, and the thing is, I mean, it's free to play, right? Mostly, but if you want cool sounds or more dice or more bonus rolls or unlimited bonus rolls or trying to think of like other things, then you have to pay a monthly subscription for it, and it's like this can stack up pretty quickly.
Oh yeah. And I'm a part of what's called PlayStation. It allows for 2 free games a month.
Oh,
and
nice.
I buy the yearly subscription. I buy it on a yearly basis because if you buy, I think it's like $3 a month or something, or $5 a month, that can add up pretty quick.
Well, I mean, yeah, at least it's the entire PlayStation. But this is usually annual subscription game per game, and it's like this if you play many games, which I actually don't, it can actually add up.
Oh yeah. If they're on a game by game basis, then yes. I mean, I know a lot of like what they're called massively multiplayer online role playing games, and I stay away from them because not only do you have to buy the game itself and its expansion packs, but you have to pay a monthly fee on some of those things.
Wow.
Not doing it. Now there are some like the Elder Scrolls Online where you just buy it and you have it and you can play it. Now you have to buy the expansions, but you know. But still, the point is, out of you.
Yeah.
Like, one other game. Can I make a point, and then we can talk about
sure,
the next phase of this. The reason why I'm so picky about fighting games and the ones that I'll support and get behind is because of what the Blind EFJ typologist Rachel and I we're talking about. The whole concept of the content that you have to pay for. You know, it's almost like you have to pick and choose. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, I mean, you have to pick and choose and see what you actually want to do. And you go, okay, I don't have the money. I obviously can't play.
Right. All of them, and you have to be watchful on what you purchase. So it's like I couldn't support every fighting game. There's no way, you know.
Well, yes, and you were talking about a gambling game before, and I was gonna say that sometimes those things can be dangerous.
Well,
because it can get.
It wasn't a gambling game in and of itself. The reason why I used the gambling analogy is because the loot boxes were like gambling, but it wasn't a gambling game in its own right. It was It was because of the in-game purchases. It would be like essentially gambling, and it would be promoted to small children of, oh, mom, dad, I like Star Wars. Can I get this game? Oh, sure. I can play with my friends online, blah, blah, blah. Then when they get it and they discover that you had to, you could either grind for the currency to get the in-game cards yourself, or you can pay with real world money and get the cards faster in a loot drop with a percent chance. Start begging the parents for money, want money for, and come on. I mean,
do they promote it for kids?
It's actually rated T for teen, 13 and up.
Well, that's good.
But the point is, it's like we talked about earlier. The developers are wanting money.
Yeah.
In any case, either be it the blindfold games or the trivia games or these iPhone games or even the console games, they want money. It's all about the money to them. They don't care about. I mean, I'm sure that they want to give consumers good content, and I get that, but come on, like okay, Tekken 7. It's a fighting game. It's a mixed martial arts fighting game. They just launched their 4th season back in November of this past year.
Mm-hmm.
So for that, basically have so far released one character in one stage. They're taking their time with developing the content to get it right. Now that I can get behind, buying a season pass and then having to wait for the content. I know the waiting has to suck, but you're getting a better product. Wouldn't you agree?
Wait, you have to wait?
You have to wait for them to be done with the content.
Oh, yeah.
Then when it drops, you get it for free. And that's what I like about SNK with their Samurai Showdown. And then NetherRealm Studios with Mortal Kombat and Injustice. They get what I love about NetherRealm is, and I'm sure you might disagree. I'm sure you've played a game like this, but have you ever played a game where the game that you get out for paying up front gives you a sizable amount of content and then gives you more content on top of that? What I was going to say was, like with Mortal Kombat and Injustice, you would get a roster of like 25 characters, and then you would get even more characters on top of that over a period of X amount of months. Because what they do, they give you a good quality base game with single player stuff, multiplayer stuff, a healthy roster of characters, to keep you busy until the DLC comes out. And then they'll stagger out that DLC, downloadable content. They'll stagger it out and say 2-month increments, just as an example. And they will work on it and refine it and make it good. What do you think about that practice? Does any of the games within audio games or blindfold games or iPhone games do that practice where they give you a bunch of content up front and then add more content onto that over time?
Yeah, I think there are definitely some like that. If the new story, especially these audio adventure books come out, like choose your adventure kind of game. They come out a new episode. Maybe the first one's for free, and then the next one you have to pay for.
Right, but are these episodes like short? Are they pretty lengthy? Are they?
It all depends. I think they're somewhat lengthy.
So it's basically a thing where you can basically get invested into it, and then when the new content comes out, you can come back and invest in the new content.
Yeah.
Now that's what I'm talking about right there. That to me is downloadable content done right.
Yeah.
That's it done right. I mean, when you have like the way that EA did the Star Wars Battlefront 2, they just train wrecked that with the microtransactions and the loot boxes. They didn't have to do that, but eventually they turned those off. Then let's see. I'm trying to think of another good suggestion here. Oh yes, like an example would be Mortal Kombat 11. I got that game the day it came out. When they first announced pre-orders, I jumped all over it. Right.
Nice.
I wanted the big high-end premium version, right, with the combat pack. That I paid a pretty hefty penny for it, but it was worth it. I got the base game and the first 6 DLC characters.
Nice.
All for one cost. And then they added another pack in May of 2020 called the Aftermath Pack. So a year after the game's release, they had another pack with 3 characters and a story expansion. Then, just 2 months ago in November of last year, they added Combat Pack 2 with 3 more characters. Now, see how they staggered out the downloadable content and gave you a bunch of content at the beginning?
Yeah.
That's how I think these other game companies should do it. They should stagger out the content, and yeah, it was a bit pricey, but it was worth the investment because I knew I was getting good quality
For sure, yeah.
As a consumer. And you even did this with your you said this with your choose your own adventure type books, type game things.
Yeah.
Is there any particular like choose your own adventure type game that you would recommend to our listeners?
Oh, I think it was like uh it was a I like a lot of the
A lot of the what? We got some technical difficulties here. As we await those to be resolved, I'll go on and quickly talk about my recommendation. Ah, there we
my
go.
phone locked again. But yeah, I didn't.
Okay, your recommendation of audiobook games.
Yeah, I cannot remember. Oh yeah, I think it's called. Oh, I cannot remember it. It's like, choice of games. They have a lot of good ones. There's one called like, it's about a detective and he goes. I can't remember the name of it, but Choice of Games has a lot of good ones.
Okay, Choice of Games. I'll have to keep that in mind.
It's a lot of like, and now choose your option. Which one do you choose? Do you dare do this, or do you want to do this? And then there was one about, I think it's called Orpheus Rouge, or whatever it's called, and it talks. I think that one was a guy that was at a boarding school, and you could touch somebody, and you could get into someone's body. It was freaky, but it was interesting. Like,
oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it was, and it was an interesting concept. It was very explorative, and you got a lot of narratives and like and stories, and it was very much I like the story aspect of it because it's like reading a book, but it's in a game format, and then you get to like play and read at the same time, and it's like, oh, this is interesting because you essentially get to be the story.
Nice.
Yeah.
See, now that's a type of thing I can get behind because you get a lot of content there.
Oh, yeah.
You get a lot of stuff there, and you don't got to, it's either free or very reasonably priced. As for free to play on the video game side, I would say go with Genshin Impact, Path of Exile. Oh man, and those would be my only really two picks. But the point is that these games, the games that you mentioned, the game I mentioned, they don't really have a lot of heavy microtransactions. You get what you get.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can spend real world money on it if you want to, but you don't have to. Is the thing.
Yeah.
All right. So what I was going to say was, I do want to recommend something to our listeners. You recommended Orpheus Rouge, which I'll have to kind of check that out and kind of look into it. I do. If anybody out there who's listening is gaming on console and likes a good fighting game, Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate Edition. Let me tell you why I recommend this. You get all the content that's been released so far for one price.
Hmm.
Now, isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Did that? Okay. In with blind games, audio games, did they release like any like complete editions of the game where they have you pay one price and you get the whole game plus every single piece of additional content that was released?
There's quite a number of games like that. Yeah.
Did you have any suggestions?
I'm trying to think of a game like that. Oh, actually, I think a lot of the choice of games you have to pay for, but you do get what you get. You do get like.
So, in other words, once you pay for it, you get a good dose of content.
Yeah.
and you don't have to pay for any more downloadable content or additional sounds or anything like that.
I'm trying to think of a game like that. Well, there's some on the computer actually. There is. I don't know if it might be free. I'm not quite sure. I don't know if Liam's games still work on the computer, but it was like that. You paid once and then you didn't have to pay anymore. Like Easter Egg Hunt. I think there was a paid version. There was a free version and then I paid for. But some of his games are paid only. Oh, there's some on the computer. There is Silver Dollar Saloon. It sounds like you have to pay but it's it's an audio fighting game. Like part of it's fighting. There's a brawl game that you could fight. And then there's
oh nice
a change reaction game where you go in and you blow up coins.
Oh wow.
That game is cool. But I you literally use audio and you try to blow up coins and it's like a reaction game, but it's pretty neat. And so yeah, I think those you just pay once and you get the entire game and you don't have to pay anymore and it's the game itself.
That's the way that a lot of these should be. I wish that a lot of these fighting games would go back to you pay for it, you get it, and if they have any hidden characters, you can unlock them through playing the game. That made me think of a game that I've been kind of playing on and off. WWE 2K Battlegrounds. Basically, you buy the game, you get the game, but in order to unlock the additional characters, you have to pay with either Golden Bucks, which you can buy from the PlayStation Store with real money, or you can use what's called Battle Bucks, which you accrue or earn in the game. So,
yeah, I think a lot of the games I'm talking about only have like one set of characters, and it's or the change reaction game is purely just you and coins, and you blow up coins, and
you just do your thing. Oh yeah, that's cool. The reason why I brought up Battlegrounds to everyone that might be listening is tonight we're talking about the greed of gaming, downloadable content, microtransactions. With Battlegrounds, you can buy different amounts of golden bucks to unlock characters.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and you'll probably agree with me on this one here, Rachel. Wouldn't you agree that is a bit greedy in terms of the practice?
I can see both sides. Yes, I can see that, and then I can see how they have to earn a living. But for sure, I mean, it can be a little bit steep.
Oh yeah, I mean, I get they have to have their living to support themselves and their families, but
yeah.
Come on.
No,
for $50, you I think 1,400 or 6,500 golden bucks. I forget which, but that's $50 is the price of either a cheaper PS4 game. For $50, let's see, you could get either that or you could get a game that's on sale, or you could buy other stuff with it.
Mm-hmm.
But $50 for that many golden bucks, to me, that's ridiculous. That's just wanting your money right there. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I guess I can see that. I mean, some stuff requires like. I think I have played some that required some like. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like.
I remember.
Yeah, but okay. I think there is some that requires something like that. In terms of like the game money or the gameplay. I like equal, but I don't know often.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think that's kind of an interesting concept, but it can get steep for sure. It's like okay.
Oh yeah, a lot of games. Like there's a game that I didn't play and I probably will never touch it. It's called Metal Gear Survive. In order to, you can make your first new character for free, but if you want to make another character, you have to pay like $10 to get the amount of coins you need just to make that character. To me, that's a little much because if you're on a fixed income or if you're okay, have you ever heard of a game called Starlink Battle for Atlas?
No.
I got it over the holiday season,
okay.
right? A friend of mine gave it to me as a Christmas present. I thought, okay, I'll try it. So I get killed in the first part of the game, right? I thought, okay. So I had to end up. It said if you want more ships, you have to basically go to the PlayStation Store or Xbox Store or eShop or whatever on your Switch, and buy what you would need with real money. And to me, that's not right. If you're gonna want to play this game and you want to get it for like your kid or whatever,
could you get around it
be
somehow?
warned. No, well, you had to get these. They're called Toys to Life, and you had to get these toys and everything to bring them to life, and there was no way to get around it. So, personally, that one game didn't work in my favor. But I'm just saying that if anybody does want to buy Starlink Bundle for Atlas or thinks about buying it, I would be very leery on it because of the way that they did the microtransactions and the way that they handled those microtransactions. So, Rachel, do you know of any games that are like that where, if you, fail or whatever, you have to pay to keep playing?
Fortunately, no. I don't think I know any of those. I mean, if you run out of coins, but that's more to
Yeah,
coins.
that's what I mean. That's what I mean. If you like run out of something, or because that's what happened with the Starlink game. I ran out of the ship basically blew up, and I basically had to buy a new ship.
Yeah, it's kind of like they have a store like in that one game, but you have to go buy. They have to. Every game requires a coin. It's kind of like a casino game, like a slot machine. You have to put a coin into play. That's the closest thing I can think of. And if you don't put a coin in there, you can't play. And then you have only X amount of coins. And then when you run out of coins, it's like, okay, you either buy the unlimited coin pack or you have to just go and buy coins.
Yeah, see that type of practice, I couldn't support that because, to me, like if you're on a fixed income and you have to, and I see where the unlimited coin pack would be a value at that aspect, but like if you had to be very very careful with your income and all that, I can see where that type of game could be a bit of a hassle.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered complete editions, microtransactions, ultimate editions. Right, Ratchet, real quick before I go in and send out the voicemail for next week and kind of plug next week. Is there any type of games that you would not recommend to the listeners that you would not recommend that you've tried? Based on what we've talked about tonight.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I wouldn't recommend a game, but yeah, I mean. I don't know how to answer that question, but yeah, that's a.
All right. It seems like from what we've talked about tonight on the podcast, you've gave me some ideas for some good game suggestions to check out. I do want to let everyone know that, and you might want to check this out too. The Evil Chocolate Cookie on YouTube. Go check her out. She plays a lot of those audio games that we've talked about.
Oh, interesting name. Evil Chocolate Cookie.
Yeah, and she streams them too.
Oh, does she? Interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe you should have her on the show at one point.
I may at one point.
Do you know her in person?
No, we haven't met in person, but I'm gonna maybe pitch the idea at some point. But yeah, to everybody out there that's listening, I'm gonna kind of wrap up here. I do want to let everyone know that next week on January 17th, Kyra Super Saiyan and I are going to be back to talk about remakes and remasters. Now, the last time you heard Kyra and I talk, we talked about retro games. This is much different next week. So, if you all have any questions for Kyra or I regarding retro remakes or remasters, let us know. Send a voice message. I'm going to be sending out the link on Twitter, and to get that out. So if anyone has any questions, just use the voicemail link I'm going to send for Kyra Super Saiyan and I about remasters and remakes. So, Rachel, do you have any final thoughts for our listeners before I wrap up?
Yes, I don't know if I'm allowed to say you can find
Yes.
my own podcast. I'm at the Blind ENFJ Typologist for now. I need to change my name. But if I change, it'll be like the Examined Life in Jungian Typology, but that might not. I've actually created a channel on Anchor here. I'll be uploading it. It is called
Oh, we got some technical hiccups. But yeah, you can check out the Blind ENFJ Typologist on YouTube. There you are.
I actually just created a channel on Anchor. I'm gonna be trying to upload everything. It's called it's actually called, it's my new name. I do want to change it to when Google allows me on YouTube, but it's going to be renamed to the Examined Life in Jungian Typology. And then I'm going to be going under by the Blind ENTJ Typologist. And you'll definitely hear about, you know, the different types and the journeys and my journey in typing. That's a different story for another day, but come check it out and you'll learn a lot about how your strengths and your weaknesses work. And if you're interested in self-growth and self-practice and kind of understanding self-development, I will cover that. I'm planning to cover some more in terms of socionics. I think at this point I'm LIE on there, which is logical, intuitive, extrovert. But I still can't be sure of that typing, so I'm holding off on the socionics content right now. I'm fully decided what to do with it, but yeah, hopefully you'll enjoy it, and hopefully you'll come by and check it out. And
I will definitely have to do that. Also, to the listeners out there, you can check out my podcast here on Anchor. It's also going to be on Spotify, Castbox, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, Stitcher. Basically, anywhere you can find a podcast, you can find this show. Now, as for other content, I do have a YouTube. It's youtube.com/blindmetalgamer. And then you can follow me on Twitter at blindmetalgamer to keep up with all my content on there. So, with that being said, again, Kyrie Super Saiyan and I will be back next week to discuss remasters and remakes. And I'll be sending out a voice link for questions. So if anyone has any questions for Kyra and I about remasters and remakes, you can name off your favorite remaster or what game you think needs a remake. Do so in the voicemail section, and we might feature it in the podcast next week. So with that being said, I want to thank Rachel, the Blind ENTJ Typologist,
thanks for having me,
for coming on and discussing downloadable content and microtransactions in gaming, the greed of gaming. With me. So again, I hope everybody has a happy and healthy 2021, and I will look forward to seeing you guys or seeing you guys next time on the Blindside Podcast. So for the Blind ENTJ Typologist, I've been your host, Blind Metal Gamer.
Thank you so much, and yes, for having me.
So long. All right. So long, everyone.
Bye.
And good night.
Yeah.